You know what makes good people suffer the most? It's not betrayal. It's not cruelty. It's the pain of watching others drown and still believing it's your job to save them. You keep trying to fix what doesn't want to be fixed. You keep giving to those who only take. You keep seeing potential in people who have no desire to live up to it. And in the process, you lose your peace, your strength, and slowly, your sense of self. You tell yourself it's love. You call it kindness. You say you're helping. But deep down, it's starting to feel like a slow form of self-destruction. Because every time you try to rescue someone who refuses to rise, a part of you sinks with them. You become their safety net, their emotional crutch, their unpaid therapist, and without realizing it, their prisoner. You start feeling guilty for even thinking about walking away. You start believing that your worth is measured by how much pain you can absorb from others. But let me tell you something that most good people never hear. You are not responsible for saving anyone who keeps choosing the fire. You can guide them, yes. You can offer a hand, yes. But if they slap it away, mock it, or abuse it, you are allowed to pull back without guilt. Because there comes a point where help stops being love and starts becoming slavery. There comes a moment when compassion crosses the line into self-betrayal. The truth is, not everyone wants to be saved. Some people love their misery. It gives them identity. Some people enjoy being the victim. It makes them feel seen. Some people feed off the drama, the chaos, the endless cycle of pain and rescue, because it gives their life a story, even if it's a tragic one. And you, the empathetic one, the listener, the healer, you keep walking into their storms, thinking you can calm them. But some storms aren't meant to be calmed. Some are meant to pass on their own. You can't fix people by drowning with them. You can't heal someone who enjoys their wounds. You can't save those who use their suffering as power. The hardest lesson you'll ever learn is this: your energy is sacred. It's not meant to be spent trying to wake people who enjoy their sleep. It's not meant to be wasted fixing lives that fall apart on purpose. Every minute you spend rescuing someone who refuses to swim is a minute stolen from your oath, your own peace, your own purpose. And maybe that's why you feel empty lately, because your light has been burning in places where no one even notices the warmth. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone saved you? When was the last time someone checked if you were okay after spending years fixing everyone else? The truth is, saviors rarely get saved. They are the silent heroes, the emotional warriors, until they collapse quietly in the corner of their own exhaustion. And that's where the danger lies. Because once you start believing that love means endless giving, you forget that love also means boundaries. Once you start thinking that compassion means tolerance of all behavior, you forget that compassion must first include yourself. You cannot heal the world by breaking yourself into pieces. You cannot carry others if your own legs are shaking. You cannot keep watering gardens that never bloom while yours withers away. Yes, love people. Yes, help when you can. But don't confuse sacrifice with salvation. You are allowed to walk away from people who drain you. You are allowed to stop explaining yourself to those who don't listen. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if it makes you look cold. Because the truth is, it's not coldness, it's clarity. You're not becoming heartless. You're becoming wise. You're not giving up on people. You're giving up on pain disguised as love. The world will call you selfish when you stop being their emotional battery. Let them. They don't know what it costs to always be strong for others. They don't know what it feels like to always show up, even when you're falling apart inside. But now, it's time to learn a new kind of love. A love that doesn't mean rescuing everyone. A love that doesn't mean fixing the broken at your own expense. A love that means saying, I see your pain, but I won't let it destroy me. I wish you healing, But I can't carry you anymore. This isn't selfishness. This is sacred wisdom. Because some people must fall to learn. Some people must break to rebuild. And some people must lose your presence to finally meet their own power dot. So today, let this be your quiet rebellion. Stop saving people who have no desire to stand. Stop fighting for those who keep choosing the battlefield. Stop draining your soul for those who feed off your strength. Because not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone has earned the right to your help. And not everyone will rise with you. Some are only there to keep you crawling. Let them go. Not in anger, not in revenge, but in peace. Because sometimes walking away is not the end of love. It's the beginning of self-respect. Here are 7 kinds of people you must stop saving, not because they're evil, but because saving them keeps both of you stuck. 1. The chronically lazy. There's a difference between someone who's tired and someone who's given up. A tired person still tries. They may fall often, but they get up again. They take your help and use it to climb a little higher. But the chronically lazy, they've already decided that effort isn't worth it. These are the people who live off the energy of others. They don't want to grow. They want to be carried. And every time you step in to fix their problems, you become part of their comfort zone. They start believing that someone will always come along to do the hard work for them. Nature doesn't work that way. A bird won't feed a chick that refuses to open its mouth. A tree won't keep feeding a branch that no longer bears fruit. Nature has a law. If something no longer gives, it gets cut off. Not out of cruelty, but to protect the rest. A lazy person always has a reason. They'll talk about bad luck, hard times, unfair systems. And maybe some of it is true. But the real question is, what are they doing about it now? If you help someone who refuses to help themselves, you're not lifting them. You're lowering yourself. You're taking away their chance to learn courage, effort, and pride. You're stealing from them the strength that comes from facing life head-on. Some of you have carried people like this for years. You've paid their bills, fixed their messes, sacrificed your peace, and told yourself it's kindness. But it isn't. It's enablement. When someone has the ability to stand but refuses, your help becomes their hammock. And as long as you keep rescuing them, they'll never feel the hunger that makes them move. Real love sometimes says, no more. Real love lets people fall so they can find their own feet. Because comfort is a slow poison, and the chronically lazy must feel discomfort before they'll ever grow. Point 2. They're perpetually ungrateful. Then there are those who never say thank you. No matter how much you give, no matter what you sacrifice, it's never enough. You pour your time, your love, your energy, and in return, you get silence or worse, complaints. They act like your help is something they're owed, not something you gave freely. This isn't just bad manners, it's blindness of the soul. Because gratitude is more than a polite word. Gratitude means you understand that kindness is sacred, that no one owes you anything. But the ungrateful person lives in entitlement. They believe the world owes them comfort. They believe your kindness is their right. And the more you give, the less they see its value. There was once a man who paid his friend's rent for 6 months straight. He gave up his own luxuries to make sure his friend had a roof over his head. Do you know what happened? The friend complained. The place was too small. The area wasn't good enough. Life wasn't fair. And when the help stopped, the friend became angry, as if he had been betrayed. That's how the ungrateful mind works. They see kindness as a debt you owe them. They think your help is their right, not your choice. The more you give, the more they take, and the more bitter they become. Because inside, they don't respect the giver. They only envy what the giver has. When you keep helping ungrateful people, you're not planting seeds. You're feeding a black hole. No matter how much you give, they'll never feel full. So stop pouring your blessings into people who can't even see them. Gratitude is what turns help into growth. Without it, every good thing dies in the dark. 3. The arrogant and self-righteous people don't want your help. They just want your agreement. They don't seek truth. They seek validation. You can offer them the best advice, the most loving guidance, and they'll reject it instantly if it doesn't fit their ego. Because the arrogant person isn't searching for wisdom. They're protecting an image. Pride hides fear. The arrogant person looks strong, but inside they're terrified of being wrong. Their entire identity depends on being right. And when you challenge that, even gently, they see you as an enemy. You can't teach someone who refuses to listen. You can't save someone who believes they already know. Even the greatest teachers understood this. You don't chase the arrogant. You let them walk away. Because wisdom can't be forced on closed minds. The arrogant must fall before they rise. They must fail, lose, and face their reflection without excuses. Only when pride collapses can humility enter. When you keep trying to help people like this, you'll end up drained, frustrated, and blamed for everything. Because to them, advice feels like insult. Truth feels like attack. So speak your truth once and walk away. Let life become their teacher. Because no amount of explanation can reach someone who worships their own opinion. Arrogance always breaks before it bends. And when it finally breaks, only then will they look for real help. Until that day, your words will fall on stone. 4. The habitually wicked know. Let's talk about those who consciously choose harm. We avoid calling people wicked or evil these days, but some people truly are. They lie, they cheat, they manipulate, and they know exactly what they're doing. These are not lost souls. They are deliberate ones. They've made darkness their comfort zone. The wicked don't want your guidance. They want your cover. They want you to clean up their messes, to defend their lies, to make them look innocent while they continue their harm. When you help a wicked person, you're not helping. You're joining forces. You're giving them tools to keep destroying. There's a reason ancient wisdom warns, never help those who do evil. Not because we hate them, but because when you protect them, their harm grows stronger. They'll take your mercy and twist it. They'll take your kindness and use it as camouflage. And when their truth is exposed, they'll drag you down with them. Some people must face the full weight of their choices. They must meet the walls they've built. They must be left alone with the chaos they've created. Your compassion is noble, but misused compassion becomes fuel for corruption. Don't mistake softness for goodness. Real goodness knows when to draw the line. You can pray for the wicked. You can wish them peace, but you must not save them. Because until they decide to change, your help only empowers their destruction. 5. The incurably foolish. Fool isn't someone who doesn't know better. It's someone who doesn't want to know better. They stumble into the same hole again and again. They ignore every warning, reject every lesson, and blame everyone but themselves. You see their pain, and you want to help. You fix one problem, and soon another appears, exactly like the last one. Because they don't want solutions, they want rescue. They want someone to clean up after their own refusal to learn. If you look closely, you'll see the pattern. Every crisis looks new, but it's always the same story wearing a different mask. The fool's greatest tragedy is that they don't suffer from lack of wisdom. They suffer from resistance to it. When you keep rescuing fools, you become part of their cycle. You stop life from teaching them what only consequences can. Sometimes the most loving act is to let them fall fully, painfully, completely. Because only when the pain becomes unbearable will the lesson finally sink in. You can't carry someone who keeps jumping into the fire. Eventually, you'll burn to. Stop trying to be their savior. Let experience be their teacher. Because pain, not advice, is the only thing that can reach them now. 6. The master manipulator. This one is the hardest to recognize. Because manipulators don't take by force, they take by emotion. They study people like maps. They know what guilt feels like, what sympathy sounds like, and how to pull your strings without you realizing it. They'll tell you stories that break your heart. They'll mirror your values, speak your language, and make you feel special for helping them. But it's all part of the act, not to one person. They're the poor victim, not to another. They're the misunderstood genius. Their story always changes, except for one part. They're always the hero or the victim. Never the problem, not the manipulator, doesn't just use you. They shape you. They make you doubt your instincts, question your worth, and feel guilty for having boundaries. And when you finally see through them, they'll flip the story. Suddenly, you become the villain. They'll tell others how you betrayed them. And before you know it, they've found their next target. When you help a manipulator, you're not being kind. You're feeding a system. You're fueling the same cycle they'll repeat with someone else. Not real kindness needs truth. And truth always exposes manipulation. The moment someone makes you feel bad for saying no, step back. Your empathy should never be a weapon in someone else's hands. Protect your energy. Because manipulators thrive on guilt, and the more you care, the more they control. Point 7. The unrepentant rebel. And finally, there's the one who knows better, but doesn't care. They've been warned, taught, guided, and they still choose destruction. They're not lost. They're defiant. They love the thrill of rebellion, the illusion of freedom. Even if it ruins them, you can see their potential. You can see what they could become if they just wake up. And that's what breaks your heart. Because you keep hoping this time will be different. But it never is. They nod. They promise. They act sorry. But as soon as the pressure lifts, they go back to the same choices. You can't fight for someone who won't fight for themselves. You can't want their healing more than they do. The unrepentant must feel the collapse of their own world. They must face the silence after everyone's done rescuing them. Only then might something inside finally shift. Until that day, all your help will only delay their awakening. Sometimes, the kindest act is to stop fighting their battles and let life humble them. Because life is the only teacher they'll listen to. So what do we do with all this? Do we stop helping people altogether? Do we become cold, selfish, or numb? No. We learn discernment. We learn to see who truly wants help and who just wants a handout. We learn to feel the difference between someone growing and someone draining. Real compassion is not rescuing everyone. Sometimes, real compassion means letting people experience the consequences of their own choices. When you give to the right people, you see fruit. When you pour into good soil, you see growth. But when you give to the wrong ones, you see waste. Your time, energy, and love are sacred. Use them wisely. Ask yourself today, who am I saving that needs to fall? Who am I carrying that must walk alone? Who am I rescuing that's meant to face their own lessons? When you find the answer, step back, not in anger, not in pride, but in peace. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to let life finish what your kindness cannot. And now that you've seen the truth, you realize something deeper. You were never meant to save everyone. You were meant to learn from them. Every person who drained you, every soul you tried to fix, every relationship that exhausted you was a mirror showing you what parts of yourself still needed healing. The lazy showed you where you were overworking. The ungrateful showed you where you were giving too freely. The arrogant showed you the danger of pride. The wicked showed you the limits of mercy. The foolish showed you the cost of ignoring truth. The manipulator showed you how empathy without boundaries becomes weakness. And the rebel, the one who refused all help, showed you the power of letting go. You see, life never sends you pain without purpose. It teaches you through people. It builds you through loss. Dot, it strengthens your soul through disappointment. You had to help the wrong people to learn what real help means. Had to give too much to finally understand the value of your own energy. You had to be taken for granted to realize how precious your attention really is. Every wrong person was a silent teacher. Every heartbreak was a lesson in emotional intelligence. Every betrayal was a reminder that not everyone who smiles deserves your trust. Dot. So, stop blaming yourself for caring. Dot. Stop regretting the love you gave. You did what kind souls always do. You tried. You believed that if you just loved harder, people would change. And that belief came from innocence, not stupidity. Dot. But now it's time to evolve. Wisdom is not about hardening your heart. Dot. It's about guarding it. Dot. It's about knowing who deserves the light you carry. You can still love people deeply, but from a distance. You can still wish them healing without joining their chaos. You can still forgive them without giving them access again. That's what mature compassion looks like. It's no longer about saving. It's about seeing. There's a peace that comes when you finally stop fighting other people's battles. There's a freedom that blooms when you stop needing to be everyone's hero. Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you either. And that's okay. You are always meant to save yourself. You're not here to fix others. You're here to master yourself, your mind, your boundaries, your energy. Dot. When you protect your peace, you protect your future. When you stop rescuing chaos, you make space for peace. Dot. When you stop trying to be loved by everyone, you finally meet the one person whose love you truly need, your own. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all. You can't help the world if you lose yourself in it. You can't lift others if you forget your own wings. You can't give light if your fire has burned out. Dot. So step back. Not in cruelty, in clarity. Let people face their own lessons. Let life humble those who refuse to listen. Let karma finish what your kindness started. You'll see, everything you tried to fix will either grow or fade away. And both outcomes are peace. Dot. Because growth means your energy planted seed. Dot. And fading away means your absence revealed the truth. Dot. In the end, your duty is not to save the world. It's to stay awake in it. Dot. To love wisely, not blindly. Dot. To give freely, but with limits. Dot. To walk away softly, without hate, without noise. Just peace. Dot. So when you leave people behind, don't look back in bitterness. Look back with gratitude. Because even those who hurt you helped shape the strength you have now. You didn't lose anything by letting them go. Dot. You simply stopped participating in your own exhaustion. And that's not weakness. That's power. The quiet, mature kind of power that doesn't need to prove anything anymore. You've done enough. You've given enough. You've tried enough.